What could it mean for your Turo business if you got an additional 5 to 10 days rented per month for your car? Now, it can be extremely frustrating once you list your vehicle on Turo and weeks go by without any bookings, or if you run into some dead periods of time. I know this because I've been through it and I know exactly how that feels. Now, for a lot of Turo hosts, if you can get an additional 5 to 10 days, that could mean an upwards increase of 33% in business per month, which is absolutely massive. Now, in my 8 years of doing this and literally looking at thousands of listings, I've always noticed that people really kind of fall out and forget about doing this one thing. And the answer is simple, but not so simple. And that is having great listing photos. But what do great listing photos even matter if your car isn't ranking in the search results? So in this video, we are going to do a deep dive into Turo listings, and we're going to look at why it is so important to have great listing photos. And then we're going to take a deeper dive into each listing and figure out what are the pieces of a listing that are so important so that you rank in the search results when somebody is looking for your car. Now, this is crucial to every Turo business, so let's dive in together right after you hit that subscribe button. So for today's demonstration, we are going to look at a couple of random markets so that we can get a true perspective of why it's so important to have great listings. So here you'll see I randomly sort of picked Salt Lake City, Utah, and we're gonna take a look at all the different listings and really get down to the reason behind why it's so important to have great listing photos. Now, when you do a search, of course, over the year, the Turo platform has grown so much and there's so many cars. So you always want to stand out when somebody is searching for your cars. It's extremely important. The reason why this is so important is because you have to think to yourself that that is your first point of sale when a renter is considering to rent your vehicle, right? So if your car can stand out from the crowd, then they are more likely to click on it and to give you a chance and potentially book with you. Now, that's why we're going to do a deep dive as we get through these photos and look inside a listing to figure out what makes it great and what makes somebody actually want to book your car. So if you look here in Salt Lake City, Utah, you can see a lot of cars, a lot of similar colors, dark blues, black, gray, and everything just sort of kind of blends in with each other. And it's really hard to look at something and see kind of what stands out. Now, immediately you can see some cars that have taken photos in just a parking lot. And this is a beautiful Maserati, which should really be shown in such a way that gets somebody excited to rent a Maserati. And then over here, we have a Chevrolet Suburban. Okay, so not a super exciting car, but they have done a fantastic job at putting a really nice background behind it. And it makes it a bit more interesting to look at. So immediately you can kind of see the difference between a car that should be far superior and it should really have a luxurious element to it and it should really speak to a renter, but it kind of just blends in with the black tarmac that the photos are taken out on. Whereas something like this silver Chevy Suburban with a beautiful background, there's a Christmas tree, it really kind of puts you in a mood, is so much more appealing to the eye. And price difference, not huge, but it may make somebody interested in clicking on that photo. So that is why it's so important to take great pictures. And unfortunately, in the Salt Lake area, you can see that there's a lot of photos of cars that just people haven't taken the time to go find somewhere scenic, something beautiful, some sort of amazing backdrop that can really put somebody in the environment that they're actually going to be renting in. So for example, one of the markets that I absolutely love and that I think does this extremely well is in Miami. So I've done a secondary search here. And you can already see right off the bat, the very first listing on this search is of a Tesla Model S. Yes, it's red, it stands out, but the backdrop is beautiful. And that is the backdrop that Miami is known for. The beautiful crystal clear blue waters, turquoise with the city in the back. I mean, that's why people go to Miami, is to have that experience. And immediately from looking at this listing, it's already giving me those feels and that energy, and it makes me want to be there already if that's where I'm visiting. And then you can see right next to it another Tesla that is red, right? And they haven't taken the time to really take those amazing photos that can make a huge difference in somebody clicking on your listing or not, just something that stands out. Now, typically this Tesla Model X that we see here, I usually wouldn't take photos like this, but there is something very cool about the fact that it is in this really cool kind of looks like a lobby, and it's blue. It's very futuristic. So that has a very neat backdrop. But if you look here in Miami, you can just see how many people have really gone the extra mile to kind of make their cars look beautiful and represent their listings in such a beautiful way. Like this McLaren, I mean, even if I'm not going to rent a McLaren at that day rate, I'm going to click into it because it just looks like such a cool car and I just want to see more. I want to know more about it. So that is why it's so important to have great photos on your listings. You know, just take some time. It's not hard to do. One of the things that I like to do is wherever I live, I'm in Southern California, so we're known for beach cities and beautiful neighborhoods and hills. So there's so much landscape and scenery here. And oftentimes I like to just drive around the neighborhood or the area and find a really nice maybe cul-de-sac or something with a nice backdrop where I can get some amazing photos. And if you can do it during golden hour, right before the sunsets, that's even more amazing. And you can really capture some truly beautiful, gorgeous photos of your vehicle that is really going to attract a renter to come and to think about renting from you because it is being presented so well versus just having your car parked in a parking lot and a background that just isn't desirable. So for example, like this Mercedes-Benz S-Class, a 2022 S-Class, absolutely gorgeous car, and it should be just giving off more perceived value than it is. Being parked in just some random parking lot without being thoughtful about what that background is, what scenery is being portrayed, it's gonna leave a certain impression on your renters. And that's why it is so important to just take a bit of time out and get some beautiful photos done of your vehicles. Now, we can have amazing photos and people looking at our listings, but what is actually going to get them to rent from you? And what's actually going to get your listing to rank in the Turo search algorithm? And that's what we're going to look at. One of my community members from powerhouse.club has done a perfect job on their listings. And so that's what I'm going to share with you guys. Now, if you find yourself in the position of you got a car, you've done your research, you've listed it, but it's still been 2 to 3 weeks and you're not getting those bookings and you really want to optimize that, I would highly recommend checking out my website, powerhouse.club, where I do a full walkthrough on every little detail that makes a listing amazing, and it's going to rank well and you're going to bring in those bookings. So there's a link down in the description below that you can check out. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys Powerhouse Club community member by the name of Michael, and he is in the Florida area. He has just done an absolute perfect job at his listings, and I love using him as an example because this is how you do it right. So Michael has a gorgeous 2020 C8, and you guys can already see here that his photos are already set up against a beautiful scenic backdrop, which already just kind of gives you the mood of what it would be like to rent this car. I mean, it just seems like it's going to be amazing and you're going to have this phenomenal driving experience, right? So one of the key things about a listing is that you want to have at least 9 or more photos for ranking purposes. If you have less than 9 photos, it's going to make your vehicle and your listing very hard to rank in the Turo search algorithm. And I personally think that you should max out the amount of photos, take great interior photos, exterior photos, have them be very scenic, maybe highlight and zoom into some features that are unique to this vehicle. So the C8, for example, it has a hardtop convertible, and Michael's done a really good job at removing that hardtop and showing his guests that, you know what, what, this can go into convertible mode, which is absolutely gorgeous. And who wouldn't want that experience in Florida? So that's step one. Step two is your listing description. So one of the things that I noticed that a lot of people do is when you go into somebody's listing, they typically just have bullet point list of all the features that the car comes with. But it's not just about that. Really what you have to utilize your description for is to get the renter excited about experiencing that vehicle or renting from a host like you. Why is it that they're gonna have this seamless experience, the best rental experience, better than going to a traditional car rental place? This is where you portray that experience and try to verbalize, hey, if you rent from me, not only are you going to get an amazing car that has all these features and that you're going to want to be seen in, but you're also going to have a fantastic experience where the car is well taken care of, it's sanitized, it's clean, and it is just in mint condition and ready to go for you. And Michael has done just that. He's done such a good job at really outlining that in his description, and it just gets somebody excited, especially when renters see that a host is excited about their vehicle. I think it gets them even more excited about renting that car from you. So these are the little things that I would highly recommend that you implement into your Turo listings, and I guarantee you it'll make a huge difference in terms of getting that rental and getting more booking days. This should definitely increase your business by a meaningful amount, and I think for a lot of hosts doing the math on it, it's going to be at least 33%. So I'm really excited for you guys to implement this stuff, and do get back to me on how this is making a difference for your business. I really look forward to hearing you. And if you really want to understand the structure and the setup of how to do Turo right, I cannot emphasize enough how time saving it is to just learn about it and educate yourself before you get in, so that you don't fall into the pitfalls of having 2-3 weeks without getting any bookings and having these dead times throughout the years. And you can learn all about it at powerhost.club. I'll catch you guys down in the comment section below. Thanks for tuning in, guys.